It's hot, spicy, pungent, colorful, aromatic, and absolutely delicious. It's traditional Durban Indian food. Hi, I'm Jacinta Timothy, and welcome to another edition of SpiceWorks. Today's menu is very simple yet delicious and will definitely leave your guests impressed. Joining me today is Asha Maharaj, who's going to tell us what's on today's menu. Hi Asha.
Hello Jacinta. Well, today I've planned to make a starter as well as a main course. The starter being grilled mushrooms topped with braised garlic prawns and the North Indian speciality of butter chicken served with deep fried naan.
Okay, so what is particular about this North Indian dish?
Well, it's got pureed almonds in it, it's rich in cream and a real delicacy.
Well, it sounds delicious. What do we need?
Well, since we're also doing prawns, we need a few spices and I think we need to go shopping.
Right, let's go shopping. Join us after the break. The smell of the spices is wonderful, pungent, a bit overwhelming, but it's just right. Asha, what do we need?
Well, I would say everything because everything is so, inviting. But today we're doing a starter. We need some of this braising spice, excellent blend of dried onions with a mixture of mustard seeds and fenugreek seeds. And then, of course, we need the jeera, freshly roasted and ground jeera powder. And we need the chili. We have a whole range of chilies to choose from. I think this one is a nice one. Pure blend of chilies, pure ground chilies. This is fennel or sauf powder. And we need that for marinating the chicken for the butter chicken.
What makes the Durban spice so different to anywhere?
I always say local is lekker. Because, locally made spices, people from far and wide come to Durban for spices. Durban is known for braais, for curries, bunny chows, and of course our very special blend of curry powders. Dhania is locally grown, and the seeds are dried, roasted, and crushed. And, you can get the aroma here. And that makes such a difference.
So
this, of course, is turmeric.
100 grams of each, hey?
Yes, we will. Take 100 grams of this, please. Jeera. Gee, this is so convenient. All vacuum sealed for freshness and the correct amounts. For people who don't have the time to go on buying big amounts and blending it, it's all done for them.
We'll just take a few.
Yep.
And let's go. First up is the naan. Asha, show us the process.
All right, I have flour here, measured amount of 4 cups of cake flour. You could use bread flour or cake flour. 4 teaspoons of sugar. A teaspoon of salt. Jacinta, you can add a little more salt if you're serving it just as, a fried goodie to serve with tea. But since we're serving it with curry that has salt in it, I'm just going to add a teaspoonful.
Can you actually put more salt or sugar in if you're going to serve it as a tea?
Yes, but not too much. Sugar activates the yeast, but too much of it will kill it.
Okay.
Okay, and I need some of this fennel or sauf, which gives it a spicy taste. 2, 3, 4. 1 teaspoon for every cup.
All right.
And I'm just going to toss this in. I've got this sugar, salt, and the spice. I need the ghee first.
Okay. That's a half a cup of ghee.
Not as much because it's going to be deep fried. If it's baked, I'll need as much. But I'll need just 3 or about 4 teaspoons. And I'm just going to rub it in very quickly. If you will then sprinkle on the instant yeast.
Okay. What's the purpose of the yeast?
The yeast is the leavening agent. It's the raising agent. And
a full packet.
Yes, a full packet. That's a 10-gram sachet of yeast. And I prefer to use the instant yeast somehow.
Right.
The cube yeast is fine if you have the time to activate it,
it takes
mix
longer.
it in water and let it froth for about 10 minutes. This makes life very easy.
For the fast person.
For the person who wants. And if you'd be kind enough to give me some water, we need about 1.5 cups. If you can just carry on pouring.
And this is lukewarm water.
It's got to be lukewarm to activate the yeast. Cold water or very hot water will kill the activity of the yeast. Pour a little bit more. I need a nice soft pliable dough. Just hold it for a while. Let's see how I'm doing with it. I do need a little bit more here. Jacinta, I've still got some dry flour. That's
And
fine.
you have to do this with your hands because you have to knead.
I knead the dough quite a bit. You need to mix it well, feel the dough. It must be pliable.
Play with it.
Make fun of your cooking by playing with the dough. And then knead it well. You've got to knead it with the heel of your hand. And now I'm going to transfer it onto the work surface here. And knead it until I get a nice ball of dough. You bring it all together and knead it with the heel of your hand so that you activate the yeast well. You know, for somebody who's not used to it, you need a good 10 minutes of kneading time. Now we've got a nice ball of dough. I'm going to give it to you to let it rise for 1 hour. By that time, the dough would have filled the bowl.
Do you have to cover it or anything?
Keep it away from the draft. If you can cover it with a dish towel, it's fine, but away from the draft, where it is nice and warm, and it'll rise.
All right.
Fine.
So that will braise for 1 hour. We're going to get onto the butter chicken. All right.
Okay, now for the butter chicken, Jacinta, I have here beautiful filleted chicken breasts, and I have my spices that go to marinate it. And the spice that I need would be black pepper, just a pinch of it. Okay, and I need fennel powder, which is this, the som powder.
Oh, it's also called som.
You get that in powder form and the whole, and a bit of jeera. Just slightly to season it. And I'm going to add a bit of oil to it, just so that it doesn't stick to the griller. And I've got the griller on there. And I need a bit of salt.
Okay.
Onions. Okay. Not too much of salt, because remember, salt also goes into the gravy for the butter chicken. So I'm just going to mix it slightly, very quickly.
It's not very spicy.
Not very spicy.
So why do you use fillets and not chicken pieces?
Well, you know, it's a specialty dish, and I'm using like pureed almonds and cream and tomato puree. Everything is smooth. So to keep the textures even, I've decided to use meat off the bone. You can also roast the chicken. You know, you can do it up to the stage that I'm doing now, on the bone, and then debone it. You could do that, but it's much easier to use the chicken breast.
And it's healthier because you got all that fat and stuff off.
All that removed. White meat is always very healthy. Just turn on.
You want it high?
Yes, I wanted to quickly.
You're just going to sear it. You're not really going to cook it.
No, because it's going to continue to cook in the gravy. In this. Okay.
If you don't have a griller, you can just...
You can do it in the same pot as you're about to braise the curry. But first, take it out and then continue to braise the curry. Okay?
No.
Okay, it's just going to cook a little bit more.
Yeah.
Will I have the spatula, please?
And this pot we're going to put on now so that we can...
So we can continue cooking the...
Will you put that on for me?
Okay, I'll do that.
All right.
Okay, it is on. Okay.
Let me
If
do
you'd
that.
like to turn that.
And then
now
you're
the
gonna
cooking
get the-
medium for this very special North Indian preparation is ghee and not oil. So I'm adding my ghee there. Got a quarter cup of ghee. This is a half cup measure. I've got a quarter cup of ghee.
Okay.
Okay. To that, I'm going to add, as soon as the ghee is melted, I'm going to add a teaspoon of fennel seed. It's got a very strong fennel flavor. And the naan also has whole fennel in it, as you've noticed.
Oh, yes.
So
Is
it's
that
got
a speciality? Do North Indian dishes always have the fennel?
fennel, anything licorice and sweet, like cashew nuts and almonds.
Very
fennel seed,
rich and
very rich and tangy.
tasty.
Yes, it is very tasty. Okay, I just want to let that fry for a few seconds before I add my grated onion.
Your onions are quite finely chopped.
Yes, it's grated and squeezed off all excess moisture. So that gives it cooks quickly and gives a nice thick, creamy
Texture.
sauce. Okay, I'm now adding in the onion. You'll notice that we don't use any cinnamon and cloves and spices like that. The spices here are the sweetest type, like the fennel, because the heat agent will follow. And I'll show you just now. Okay, whilst this is sauteing, whilst that's sauteing, let me show you what else I have here.
Okay.
The next thing that goes in there would be my chili and garlic paste. I've taken cloves of garlic, red chilies.
Red chili though.
Red chili. To
Is
give
the
it,
red chili for color or is it just giving it better taste?
it is mainly for color. Green chili will also give you a hot taste, but the red is preferable because I'm going to use cream, so this gives it a nice color. It doesn't look
What
so
cream is
insipid.
this?
Now this is evaporated milk.
All right.
It's safer to use evaporated milk. There's no chance of it curdling because we're going to use tomatoes. If you use fresh cream
So that's
and
the
then
purpose of using evaporated milk.
milk. And for instance, if you use fresh cream and use tomatoes, chances are it will
Curdle.
curdle. It will curdle if it comes to a boil.
All right. Okay, onions going well there.
Okay? The onions are frying well.
This is such simple spices, but the smell that you get off the grill.
And the
quite
method of
tasty.
preparing this is very important. You've got to do each thing very methodically. You've got to fry this onion until there's no moisture before you add the next set of spices or next set of ingredients.
So what is the purpose of doing it separately?
Now, as I said, I wanted to sear the meat so that
Yes.
it doesn't release its meat juices in the sauce.
All right,
This-
so you don't want other excess juices
I
like
don't
the
want-
onion juice or the chicken juice. You just
I don't want them to mingle, and I don't want it to alter the flavor of the creamy sauce. This is a very nice dish to prepare. When you're entertaining, this is wonderfully easy, and your friends
And the
will love
process
it.
is not
It's
very
not all that
tedious. Can you
tedious.
do the
You
sauce
can actually
beforehand?
do the sauce well beforehand. I have often enough done them in large quantities and refrigerated it, and then just done
Just
the
do your
chicken.
chicken.
You can do it when you're having a braai.
So it's a really quick but tasty meal.
Once you've got the sauce prepared, you can just do this at a scottle braai and surprise your friends and have an
Wow.
instant butter chicken.
That sounds great.
It is wonderful. Okay. This has to fry well. It's good if you're using a non-stick pan, so there's no chance of it sticking to the pan because, with the absence of the onion juices, it can stick very quickly.
And you don't want to
We
put
don't
in
want
added oil
no,
or
we
anything.
don't want any extra oil or anything. Okay. Okay, the onions are softened. I'm now adding my garlic and chili mixture.
And that's a cup. Half
No,
a cup.
this is not a cup. This is about a third of a cup. About a third of a cup. Fry that well. And as soon as the ghee begins to separate, you know that it is nicely sauteed, and you add the next set of ingredients. You find that the ghee is beginning to come to the surface. You notice that?
Yes.
It fries very quickly. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to add is this almond puree. If you'd like to just pass it to me.
How do you make this almond puree?
You know what I've done? Let me just show you. These are the whole almonds. I've blanched them so they look like that. Just put them in boiling water, and as soon as the water cools, their skin becomes so loose you can peel it off. Then put it into a blender
Okay.
with a few tablespoons of milk and just grind it to a fine puree.
What else can you use the almond paste
The
for?
almond paste is actually the basis to all barfi. To make a pure almond barfi, you make a lot of almond puree with milk, and you add it to the sugar syrup, and you continue to cook, adding small amounts of ghee until it cooks to a nice solid mass. Okay, that is nicely done. Now I'm adding the almond puree. Okay, now it looks very yellow. I think we'll switch it off. It's done.
Switch it off.
As soon as this comes to a boil, I'm going to add the tomato puree.
Okay.
Okay. And the other. At this stage, I'm going to add the salt to taste. We've added a small amount of salt to the chicken, so that should do. We're going to bring it to a boil, a rapid boil, before adding the evaporated milk. Okay, and the chicken is nicely done. They're nicely sauteed.
Yeah.
And it's cooked through.
Oh, you can see that. But chicken is a very quick dish.
Yes, it does cook very
doesn't take
quickly.
long.
And one should never overcook it. It becomes too stringy.
Oh.
Okay, now this has come to a boil, and you can see the ghee coming up. As that begins to happen, we add the evaporated milk. So if you'd like to just gradually pour it while I'm stirring.
This is 2 cups.
This is a whole can, a 410 gram can of evaporated milk. And you can add all of it. Okay. Now we're going to add the chicken to it.
The color is amazing.
Color is amazing. We're going to now add the chicken pieces to it. I'll just place it and bring it to a boil. And the flavor of the sauce will get into the meat.
Your dish is really done. You just have to now make sure it mixes.
Yes, the flavors have to develop.
Okay. So how long do we need to leave that for?
Until it comes to a boiling point, or if you're not in a hurry to serve it, what you need to do is just leave it on simmer. And the thing that really gives it oomph is cardamom or elaichi powder. As you've noticed, we haven't used any cinnamon powder or turmeric powder or chili. And as I mentioned earlier, we just used the very sweet and licorice tasting spices. That's the fennel and the cardamom, and then a bit of pepper just to give it a bit of bite. Now this is a very nice, rich dish.
Oh, I'm dying to taste it. So while that is just boiling or cooking in its sauces and juices, we'll close that up and then we'll go on to our garlic mushroom starter.
Yes, we'll do
that.
All right.
Okay. All right, join us after the break for our starter. Welcome back to the second half of SpiceWorks. Viewers, don't forget our weekly competition at the end of the show. Right now we're going to get on to frying the naan.
Okay, as you can see, the dough is well risen.
Yeah,
it's doubled in bulk. You just break off a portion like that and mold it. Keep it fairly small because they do blow up quite a bit. And just roll it. We've got hot oil there. Oil is nice and hot.
You've got to use hot oil.
Hot oil. And just that big, like little pita breads. Do 1 or 2 more.
All right.
Okay, they puff up quite nicely when the oil is nice and hot.
And can you actually make different sizes? I mean,
yes,
we're making a specific size now,
yes,
but you can.
These are ideal to serve at a dinner party. Guests don't feel embarrassed taking more than one because they're so small.
Yeah.
And all it's necessary for is to mop up the juices of the lovely cream sauce that we made in the butter chicken.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. All right. We'll just fry another one and I'll get the others.
Okay.
Which you fried earlier on. Ooh, lovely.
See, they should puff up like that.
Okay.
Okay. And make one a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I'll make a big one. I might just need that.
Okay. You can actually use it to fill up, put the filling in it. If you just cut one like an envelope, you can fill it.
Oh, can you put some filling in there?
Yes.
What kind of fillings would you suggest?
If you just cut this here, get the knife, you can cut it, and you can put the sauce.
It's like a pita.
Very much like a pita bread, except the pita breads are baked.
All right. And it doesn't really look all that oily,
No.
It's something that's been deep fried.
Okay.
That looks delicious. So we're just going to finish off that one, and we're going to get onto our mushroom prawn
we'll do
starter.
That. That's an excellent starter, you know, the mushroom prawn starter.
And the combination is really, it's really good.
Yes, chicken and prawns go well together. Often enough, you know, I've made chicken and prawn biryani, and in paella you always use a chicken and prawn mixture. I'm just going to wait for this to puff up nicely. You know, whilst it's important for it to puff up and get golden brown, you've got to give it a few minutes to cook inside.
Inside, yeah.
Yes. You've got the frying pan here,
Yes.
and are we going to just put that one away?
Oh, let me take it. Sorry. Just put that off. All right.
Okay.
So we're going to get onto our mushroom prawn
What
starter.
we're going to do first is put the mushrooms onto grill. Okay, just put the grill on. And whilst that is heating, you've got to put it on a hot grill just to sear the outside.
Yeah.
We don't want the mushrooms to shrink to nothing. We have nice brown, large brown mushrooms here. And you know, many people prefer to peel the mushrooms for,
Okay,
so for
which you've done
convenience, I've
already.
just removed that, but it's not really necessary. Okay,
And the
but you've got to cook it this way because the filling will be here.
And you also just almost like break the inside so that it
Slightly
can actually
scrape.
go inside.
Yes, you slightly scrape the inside.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to use ghee. And I see we've got some beautiful prawns here,
Yeah.
all on ice.
Yeah, that's the way. Now tell me about the prawns because it's been de-headed and
Yes.
de-veined.
It's
Why and what? Tell us.
You know, the veins is the poisonous part of it. You've got to devein it. And we don't really need, it, you know, if you're grilling prawns, you can leave heads on. If, for those people who like to
can.
chew on it,
All right.
you can. Okay, but not in this case. This is a starter to the main meal. So people don't need to get the fingers all dirty chewing
All right,
and,
you just
you
have
know,
a very-
removing the crust or
Okay.
of the prawn. So I'm just going to add some green chilies first.
And the way, let's just go through this. You open it up and the vein would be over there.
Yes.
And you just
You
take
know,
the vein out.
You have the special remover. You can just cut it and you just pick it
Oh,
up.
you have a special thing?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay,
Now,
what
if
do
you'd
you
like
need?
to just put in a teaspoon of the jeera into this.
Which one is Jeera
This
now?
one here, just a teaspoon. Yep, that's fine.
All right.
With that, just to give it some flavor. And then add some garlic.
1 teaspoon?
Yeah, just a scant teaspoon, not too much. Yeah, that's fine. We don't want to overpower it. The garlic prawns are very popular. We don't want to overpower it. And there I've got some dried onions. If you'd like to just take some maybe in your hands and just put some. Put a good amount, put a little more. Okay, those are dried onions. Okay, it gives it good color as well. And now we'll add the green chilies. I'll handle that if you're scared to handle chilies. About 2 or 3 chopped chilies, depending on how hot you want it. But you don't want to scare your guests. Okay, you just keep shaking the pan so nothing really burns. Okay, now we're going to take the prawns off here. And we're not going to cut it because they do shrink. Just place a few, once it's done, just a few on the starter, on the mushroom.
We'll just do them all because they do shrink a little bit.
They
though.
do shrink. And for the number of mushrooms that we have, I think we've just got enough prawns here. We're not going to add the salt too soon because the salt draws the moisture from the prawns and shrinks it too much.
So at the end you just
Yeah,
sprinkle.
just sprinkle it on as soon as it changes color.
And our grill is about hot.
Okay. So we're going to start with that. We'll just give it a stir now and again. Okay, let's start with this. What I need to do,
Oh yeah, I was just going to say you need to coat this.
yes, I just need to coat it slightly with a bit of oil. You could brush it or just dip it in oil. Or if you've got a mixture of peri-peri oil and garlic, you can do that. You know, this is just to keep it moist, prevent it from burning. Very slightly, okay? You'll notice that the most of the oil remains here, so we're not getting a very oily starter. Okay, what we need to also do now is sprinkle on some black pepper and salt. Just slightly.
Just really just sprinkle it.
Just
there.
a sprinkle. Okay.
Salt.
You can do the salt on that. Very little, yes, very
Very
little, just a little bit.
I prefer to just do that.
Okay. They don't look good, but gee, they do taste very good.
Yeah, they're not a very pretty
They're
vegetable.
not pretty. But once it's served, nicely garnished with the chopped shallots, it's very presentable.
So do you turn this around at any stage?
I'm going to
Okay,
turn.
just check. Want to
Let's do
steer
the
though.
inside first, and then, because that's the side that's going to be served on.
And this doesn't take long as well.
It
It's
doesn't.
like chicken. It's a very quick,
Very quick cooking.
and you can't overdo the.
You can. You know, you can overcook the prawns by a few seconds. It becomes very leathery. You've got to be very careful when you're cooking prawns.
How would you know it's ready though?
You know,
for our people that are
It's
new
curled
to
up.
cooking.
It changes color. You see now, you can see it's just changing color. And there's no more moisture left, then you know it's done.
Right.
Try to turn all of them.
Very simple.
Very simple. Now this also is a sort of a cook ahead meal. You can have this done well ahead of time and then just do the mushrooms on the grill
Okay.
and just place it over, top it. You know, you can also extend the idea. Once you've topped it with the prawns, you can put some cheese on it.
Oh yeah, and
just
grill it.
Grill it,
On the
yeah.
grill?
As soon as the cheese
Very
melts, and mozzarella cheese is an excellent choice. As it melts and bubbles, you can serve it.
Let me get our plate for presentation.
Okay, get the plates. Okay. So it's giving off a bit of moisture, and as soon as that dries up, oh, it's done. You did add the salt, didn't you?
Yes.
That's
We
fine.
just need to add salt in the prawn.
Just add a little bit of salt.
You ready for that?
Yeah, I think you added salt.
Half a teaspoon?
Yes, that will be just fine.
Smells lovely.
Now we're going to add the chopped chives, or shallots, just to give it a bit of color. Let's just leave it. Now don't have to turn it, you just put it
I
off.
think we just
Put it off. See, they become like rings when they cook. They all sort of curl up.
They're cold up now,
curl
nice.
up.
All right. Okay, I'm going to pick up the mushrooms and place it there. And you can start putting over. Okay.
You just place that.
Yes.
Okay.
Now this you need to do at the just
before you're ready to serve your guests, because you know it's a very delicate type of a preparation. You need all the prawns to be in place, the mushroom to be nicely grilled, and you know it's an a la carte preparation. So you place the mushroom onto the starter plate and then serve it to your guests. You just do this. That seems to have just done for 4 portions here.
That went very quickly.
Very quickly. What we need to do is to give it a bit of color is just sprinkle a bit of paprika, in this case chili powder.
Okay.
Just the tiniest sprinkling bit. Make it, yeah, just do that. Just to give it a bit of color. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I normally do is just go like that, you know. Okay. And that's it.
Just about ready. After the break, please join us for our tasting and our viewers competition. Welcome back to SpiceWorks. Before we get into this wonderful meal, our competition for today to win a set of aluminium non-stick pots. The question is, what was the starter we prepared for today's SpiceWorks? Again, what was the starter we prepared for today's SpiceWorks? Send your answers to the address you see on screen or email us at spiceworks@jubilers.com. Asha, please tell us again this delicious meal.
You know, although we started with the last thing first, we got to serve the starter at the beginning.
Yes.
Now the starter is grilled mushrooms with garlic prawns, topped with garlic prawns. An excellent starter to a main meal.
An
Okay.
excellent combination to our chicken.
Excellent
All right,
combination.
want to dish
And
this?
that's butter chicken. Do you need a hand? Okay. That's fillets of chicken with a nice creamy sauce.
And this texture,
Yes, it's
It's
a butter
just lovely.
sauce. Yes.
very
Okay.
nice.
You don't get chunks of onion or anything like that.
It's
Would
just
you
a
like
smooth.
to try one
and
of
then
my
our
naan?
Okay. Before we actually taste, let's say goodbye to the viewers. Join us again next week with another edition of SpiceWorks. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Lovely. Do you want to just...
I'm looking at the expression on your face.
It's delicious.
Not too hot for you?
Just
So the cream and the almonds just tone it down nicely.
to get that kind of licorice taste as well.
Yes, yes,
It's lovely. Sure?
yes. Enjoy it.
And I must try one of these